I've been doing this a little while, radio. Even before I had my own radio show, I worked very closely with Rush Limbaugh. He called me F. Lee Levin. Since about 1998, I would provide him with constitutional information, and we'd talk every day, every night. One of my closest best friends. And he would tell me that the media always wanted him to fail, and the media always wanted conservative talk radio to fail. So there were endless articles about how conservative talk radio was dying. Now, the truth is, conservative talk radio is the reason why an AM ban still exists, and in part an FM ban, that is terrestrial radio altogether. The truth is, there are certain program managers or general managers or regional managers or even owners who don't know what the hell they're doing. The vast majority do. And they kill their stations. But that's the exception. That's beside the point. We're very pleased to be with our affiliates here. But we're on every platform that's imaginable. But I bring this up to you for a reason, as I'll explain in a minute. Here's May 23, 2011 from the Business Insider. Rush Limbaugh's ratings have fallen 30% in the last 6 months. Salon, July 29, 2013, Rush Limbaugh's finished. Politico, May 24, 2016, is Rush Limbaugh in trouble? This is what he and I would discuss. EUR, Europe Web, Rush Limbaugh suffers ratings decline on talk radio, June 19, 2015. And it goes on and on and on. And we would get these from one after another. Huffington Post, 2012, a challenge to Rush, prove your ratings. Daily Beast, 2011, Rush Limbaugh and right-wing talk radio flame out. Politicus USA 2015, Rush Limbaugh in freefall as his show gets demoted. Adweek, ratings drop for Limbaugh. Media Matters 2014, Rush Limbaugh's California ratings debacle. New York Daily News 2015, Rush Limbaugh might get smaller deal amid struggling ratings. See what I'm saying? Salon, a Marxist operation. Rush Limbaugh's cooked the stunning fall of the right's ratings. And it goes on. 2021, can conservative talk radio survive without Rush? Now, first of all, they said Rush couldn't survive. It goes on and on and on. Arkansas Business, 2014, talk radio on hold against low ratings. New York Daily News, 2015, Rush Limbaugh's ratings appear to be sagging. He was always under attack. Talk radio has always been under attack, and it's under attack again today. And they try and cause one platform or one industry to go after another, but it's not going to work. There are literally thousands of podcasters. All you need basically is a box, and you're a podcaster. There are, of course, podcasters who are massive, podcasters who are a blip. But there are also radio shows that are massive and radio shows that are a blip. This is one of the biggest in the world. This program, this platform, is on terrestrial radio, AM and FM, as well as podcasting and so forth and so on. And we will continue to be on all of our platforms without limitation. Without exception. This is a syndicated program. And that's what we will do. And our audience expects it. You expect it. No matter how you listen to it. And I will not allow anybody to get into the way of that through demands of any kind whatsoever. It's not going to happen. Period. But I bring this up for a reason. In October of this year, Pew Research put out a very thorough and extensive survey of listeners of every single platform available. Network TV, cable TV, radio, podcasting, streaming, newspapers, magazines, websites. And they wrote about a third of Americans name NPR, which of course is government subsidized and on 1,000 stations, 34% as at least a minor source of election news. While 27%, it's almost 30% of all the people in the United States who gather information from any source. 27% use conservative talk radio such as Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. The share who cite talk radio as at least a minor source of election news is identical to 2020, when the question named Rush Limbaugh as an example before his death in 2021. Rush Limbaugh's ratings, his audience share, was always massive despite all the attacks. And conservative talk radio today remains massive. Massive. Just because they don't listen to it at Politico, just because they don't listen to it at Axios, including their media expert, they're as out of touch as they were before the election. They have no idea how you get information. You get information from TV, obviously. You get information from podcasts, many of you, particularly younger people. But millions and millions and millions of you get your communication and your information from radio, AM and FM radio, or a show like mine that simulcasts on other formats. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. It isn't. This constant war against conservative talk radio over the decades is intended to undermine it, to usurp it, because the left has nothing similar to it. Zero. They have podcasters. They have big podcasters. Joe Rogan isn't really a conservative. He endorsed Trump, but he also endorsed Bernie Sanders. But he's a great podcaster. And a lot of people listen to him. But that's not my point. My point is that this format, talk radio, is the number one format for conservative voices and listeners anywhere on the planet. It's bigger than any cable channel. It's bigger than any podcaster. It's bigger than any collection of podcasters. And look, I'm a podcaster too, and I love it. And we're going to do more of it. But I'm just speaking to you about the facts. The facts. These are the facts. So over at Axios, which is a very left-wing website, which doesn't know me, which doesn't know this format, which doesn't know anything, they're going through and they're telling you who the new influencers are. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Number one they have. Who's in? Number one. Number two, the organic media gurus. I don't even know what that means. Number three, independent streamers. Independent streamers have barely any audience, just so you know. But it's okay. I'm for all the competition in the world. I'm for taking down massive corporate media, which gives us the likes of Joy Reid. So I'm all for it. Free speech techies like Elon Musk. But you've got to talk about the platforms and the formats. Conservative entertainers. All good. The New York Post and Fox News. I happen to love both of them. Who's out? Fringe websites. Breitbart. Breitbart's not out. Breitbart's massive, and they throw them in with InfoWars. Breitbart's not InfoWars. Newsmax. Newsmax is doing very, very well. Here you go. Number two, Republican radio. There is no Republican radio. What does that mean? It's called conservative talk radio. So the person who wrote this is an imbecile. Republican radio, a slew of conservative radio hosts such as Dana Loesch, Eric Erickson, and Mark Levin, who've tried to fill the void left by the late Rush Limbaugh, don't have the same access and viral prowess as the New Age MAGA podcasters. So I just read you what they were doing to Rush before his death. Demeaning him, trying to minimize him, tell you that his days are over as a radio host, that he didn't have an audience, which was a lie. I can't speak for the other two, but I have never tried to replace Rush Limbaugh. My hero, my friend, an iconic historic figure. I do my own thing. And I've been doing my own thing, how long now, Rich? 24 years, I guess? About 24 years. So why would I try to replace Rush Limbaugh? But the point is, conservative talk radio has as big of an audience, which is about 30% of the American people who are seeking information and news and so forth and commentary, as it did 4 years ago. 4 years ago. In 2020. So the idea that we're out, I can tell you right now, we've had more requests we did during the Trump campaign for their surrogates, for the president, and others to come on this show than I can even count. And same with the Senate candidates and congressional candidates. I couldn't take them all. I just couldn't. We tried very hard in the last 2 weeks to bring on as many as we could, including the president, including the vice president-elect. Because here's the little dirty secret. In virtually every single vehicle in this country, there's a radio. It doesn't mean all of you use a radio, but there it is. And some of the biggest podcasters in the country, they all want to be on radio. Why? Because it's a massive built-in audience that exists in every car, on every radio. That doesn't mean that massive built-in audience is necessarily going to listen to a particular radio host or not. That's not my point. My point is to ignore that, like Axios does and some of these other lefties who wrote all these things about Russia and so forth, is to show a level of ignorance that's just unbelievable. President Trump as a candidate was all over conservative talk radio. He understood it. President Trump is a private citizen, is a New Yorker. And he would listen to this show, and he'd listen to Rush show, and he'd listen to Hannity's show. We would listen to these shows. Matter of fact, on WABC, that was called Murderers Row. It was Rush, Hannity, Levin, in that order. Murderers Row. Which obviously Rush has passed away, and Sean's with a different network than I am. It is what it is. But I want to point this out because the effort is to diminish you, the radio listener. That's what it is. That's what it is. And when you look again, as I explained, I have to explain this because I want you folks to understand you're part of a massive movement, and you always have been. There's nothing like conservative talk radio. Nothing. Zero. It is huge. It is massive in the aggregate. We reach hundreds of millions of people every single day. Every single day. And on a weekly basis, this show reaches almost 15 million people. Could be more. We just don't know. Plus, we're on all these other platforms, so it's impossible to really know. But what I do know, it's very interesting, Mr. Producer. I think I've told you, maybe not. I don't think I've told the audience. When I'm in the line, as an example, to get a ticket for an airplane or to get something to eat or something like that, and I open my mouth and people hear this voice, which is obviously a distinct voice. They go, "Are you Mark Levin?" I say, "Yes, I am." Is that good or is that bad? You friend or foe? 98% of the time, friend. So ignore these left-wing sites that are going to try and diminish this format, like Axios, like all the others have done in the past. This guy Avalon, who ran as a Democrat for Congress and lost in New York, he was one of the ones, the no-label party, but then he found a label. He became a Democrat. He was a Republican. He worked for Giuliani. The guy's been all over the place. He used to write these pieces talking about Rush can't survive, Rush's numbers are down, and on and on and on. I just want to assure you, we're strong as ever, period.